Hello everyone and welcome to another video. This one is going to be on a very important topic, Bitcoin. Now, to say that Bitcoin is a controversial investment instrument would be an understatement. It appears that by 2021, most people have an opinion on owning Bitcoins as part of a portfolio. There are the bears on the topic, such as Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, who have historically viewed Bitcoin as a fictitious asset. Then there are those such as Chamath Palihapitiya, who thinks that Bitcoin is a hedge against the market and inflation and should be part of a balanced portfolio. He thinks that Bitcoin will continue to rise and could potentially revolutionize the monetary system. Let us quickly recap these opposing views before we get to what Ray Dalio has to say about Bitcoin.
There's some really good technology in terms of sharing databases and verifying transactions that is talked about as blockchain. That is a good thing. Bitcoin and ICOs, I agree completely. It's one of the crazier speculative things where it's not an asset class, you're not producing anything. And so you shouldn't expect it to go up. It's kind of a pure greater fool theory type investment. So, you know, I agree. I would short it if there was an easy way to do it.
One of the interesting things, if people react when you criticize their investment, if they get mad, they're gambling. You know, if somebody criticizes Apple or Berkshire, we like it. I mean, if the stock goes down, we'll buy more of it because we don't care whether it's just we don't feel that it has anything to do with it. But if we criticize something that they own because they only want it to go up tomorrow, they feel we are hurting them, and therefore they get very upset about it. If they really like what they own, what difference would it make? You know.
Exactly that. I think it is a replacement to gold. But again,
but you like gold. You're saying you like non-productive assets.
I like in a portfolio. Again, my portfolio is 99% risk on, 1% risk off. And in that 1% risk off bucket, I think that something like Bitcoin is really important. Why? Because it is not correlated to the rest of the market. And I've been in the Bitcoin market since 2012. And I feel like I'm in two different universes. I need a passport to go between the Bitcoin world and my regular world. These are not the same people. And what I would tell you is the people that owned Bitcoin in 2012 all the way up to now, the majority of those people view it as a hedge to the traditional financial infrastructure. Whether that's true or not is unclear, but that's how we've all viewed it. Separately, what Joe says is absolutely right. There's a big difference between correlation and liquidity. And the reality is all of these financial assets in the traditional markets are fundamentally correlated. We saw that in 2007. Everything broke down. Things that we thought were hedges went away. And so I think it's really important to not forget what happened there. So in 2018 or 19, heaven forbid we go through another cataclysmic financial event, we are going to see the same fundamental correlation. And so again, I ask, why would it not make sense to have a non-correlated hedge? For a small amount this is about buying insurance. It was the same reason why in 2007 and 8, the folks that bought simple insurance.
All right, Chamath, we don't have that much time left. Let's talk rocket ships. First, Bitcoin. That falls into that category because that's what that is. 39,000. Where's it going?
I mean, can you play the clip in 2012 and 13 when it was at 200 and everybody was laughing at me on CNBC every time I would talk about Bitcoin? Where is it going? It's probably going to 100, then 150, then 200,000. In what period? I don't know. 5 years, 10 years, but it's going there. And the reason is because every time you see all of this stuff happening, it just reminds you that, wow, our leaders are not as trustworthy and reliable as they used to be. And so just in case, we really do need to have some kind of, insurance we can keep under our pillow that gives us some access to.
So it is clear that there are some strong opinions about Bitcoin among the legendary investors. However, Ray Dalio, who is the founder of Bridgewater Associates, the largest hedge fund in the world, has some really intriguing observations about Bitcoin that he recently shared on LinkedIn. Now, I'm a big fan of Ray Dalio because he approaches investing with a humility and often focuses on education and disseminating his knowledge, which I find to be very inspiring. The link to his full article will be in the description below, but it is worthwhile for us to summarize his thoughts. Ray begins by saying that he does not consider himself an expert on cryptocurrencies, and he says he wouldn't bet on his own views, but rather wants the reader to appreciate his thoughts so that he or she may be able to form their own opinions on the matter. Ray thinks that Bitcoin is one hell of an invention because it has survived 10 years against strong skepticism. It has grown to be viewed as a storehold of wealth and value, on par with the famed Medicis creating the first form of credit system in Italy. He compares Bitcoin to an alternative gold-like asset, and this is a disruptive concept because there aren't very many gold-like assets. He notes that there is an increasing need for such store of value like gold because of inflationary threats and rising uncertainty in the equity and debt markets. He also notes that, like gold, Bitcoin can be privately held, which contributes to its appeal. Then Ray goes on to say something really important. He says, "It seems to me that Bitcoin has succeeded in crossing the line from being a highly speculative idea that could well not be around in short order to probably being around and probably having some value in the future." This shows that Ray has come to believe there is a future for Bitcoin, although it is an uncertain one. Ray then considers the supply and demand for Bitcoin in the future. Since the total number of Bitcoins that will be in existence is capped at 21 million, the supply is known. However, on the demand side there is more risk. It is possible a new cryptocurrency will emerge and displace Bitcoin, as Bitcoin is fairly inflexible in its construct. The way Bitcoin works is fixed, and therefore it may not be able to evolve. Here, I will note that while Ray brings up a very interesting point, Bitcoin does have a credibility and momentum that will be very difficult to emulate. I consider this to be a very big moat for Bitcoin. In addition to the credibility and momentum, Bitcoin has a strong network effect as more and more consumers become aware of it and come to use it. It is to be noted that network effects scale exponentially as new users come to use Bitcoin. Increasing adoption will make it very difficult to replace. Ray then says he admires how Bitcoin's architecture has proven to be safe and unhackable for 10 years, at a time when cybersecurity threats are very much increasing. Yet, while Bitcoin has not been compromised yet, that possibility cannot be fully eliminated. Therefore, there is always a small chance that digital security may become an issue in the future. But Ray's biggest concern with Bitcoin is how governments will respond to it as it gains currency. Ray's point is that Bitcoin may become a victim of its own success because it appears that if the government wanted to get rid of its use, most of those who are using it wouldn't be able to use it, so the demand for it would plunge. He notes that governments have an intrinsic self-interest in preserving the flow of money and credit within its borders. If Bitcoin becomes an alternative source of money and credit, governments will use their significant powers to curtail Bitcoin. Even after considering all of these angles, Ray Dalio deduces that Bitcoin looks like a long-duration option on a highly unknown future, that I could put an amount of money in that I wouldn't mind losing about 80% of. Ray concludes his remarks by saying that he and his coworkers are looking at Bitcoin very strongly as an alternative store of wealth. While Ray Dalio brings up these very thought-provoking insights, it is no doubt that his understanding of Bitcoin is highly sophisticated, even though he claims to be a non-expert. Based on his latest observations, it appears to me that Ray has moved closer to Chamath, who has argued that owning 1% of your investments in Bitcoin is a very unique way to diversify your risks. What do you think about Bitcoin's future? Do you agree with Ray? Or are you as skeptical as Bill Gates and Warren Buffett? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video to be informative, then please consider subscribing and hitting the like button to support the channel. See you all in the next video.